Good afternoon. My name is Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, from 1 to 3 p.m. Central, as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. So how many of you are afraid to use the Instant Pot because of the pressure cooker capabilities? I was one of those, because Mother had a pressure cooker one time that exploded when I was a kid. So from that point on, it's like I wouldn't touch a pressure cooker. But I'm just going to tell you, this one is absolutely awesome. I use it all the time. And so we've made some black beans and rice, and I'm going to go ahead and get started with the video. It's about somewhere around 14 minutes or so, and we'll be right back in just a minute. So you hang in there, okay? We'll be right back. Hi there, I'm Donna, and we're going to make, using the Instapot. You guys have heard me talk about this several times. I love the Instapot. It is so fast, but this was my concern. So how many of you have been afraid to use a pressure cooker of any time because you've heard of someone having one explode? Yeah, that was the reason I didn't want to do it as well. But I'm going to show you, this is so easy. You can't mess this up. But this is the Instapot, and this is the newest one out on the market. So Phil wanted to know what I wanted for Christmas. I said, I want an Instapot because it makes life so much easier. So first of all, let's go ahead and talk about the ingredients, and then we're going to go ahead and get started. And I'm going to show you just how easy this is to do. Okay, now first of all, I'm going to go ahead and get this thing set for saute, and that's one of the deals. So I'm going to wait until it gets hot, then I'm going to add olive oil. So this is what you do. You add 1.5 cups of dry black beans. We want Instapot black beans and rice. Then we're going to add 1.5 cups of dry brown rice. That has to be, now both of these have to be rinsed. We're going to add a neutral oil, and I like olive oil. It's always my choice, olive oil. So 1 tablespoon. Then we want some onion. I want the red. I've had this in the freezer, so we're going to get this out there. Then we're going to need a 1/2 teaspoon of table salt, 4 cups of vegetable broth, 1 cup of water, 15-ounce can of fire roasted tomatoes. I'm going to add these tomatoes. These are my dehydrated that I use, and make this really neat sauce out of it. Then we're going to need a tablespoon of chili powder, 2 teaspoons of cumin, 1 teaspoon of dried oregano, 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, and then optional will be cayenne pepper. Phil really can't do the cayenne pepper, so we're going to not do that this time. Okay, so this is getting a little bit warm, the Instapot, and it tells you on the sleeve what it'll do. So let's go ahead and we're going to add the olive oil. Okay, so it's telling me we're going to need about a tablespoon. So I'm going to kind of guesstimate it. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. Okay, I'm going to put just a tiny bit more. There we go. All right, we'll go ahead and put the lid on. And by the way, make sure you get the good stuff. I really like this one. It's Star, and it's the extra virgin olive oil, and it's really good in everything. So I'll go ahead and put this over here to the side. Okay, now you can get, what I do is I buy onions, and then I also have them in the garden. And so what I'll do is I chop mine, and then I'll put them in the freezer. So when I'm ready for them, I mean, you know, no crying. I only have to cry once, and that's when I chop them up to put them in here. So that works out pretty good. Now, what I want to do is saute the onions. And this is going to be just the right amount. See, you can hear that sizzle. Okay, I'll go ahead and put this over here to the side. I'll throw it away later. Now, let's go ahead and turn this around so you can see what I'm doing just a little bit better. And this is the top. I'm moving him out of the way. Smells good already. So you want to saute these onions. Okay? And again, one pot does everything. That's what I love about this Instapot. Okay. And we're going to let him, we're going to saute them. They're just a little bit. Now, I could add the dehydrated ones too, but we're getting a 1/2 cow from our wonderful friends at Lone Tree Ranch. So I'm kind of, getting ready for that coming in. That's like 1/2 cow. That's going to take a lot of space. in the freezer. So here we go. Bring it over here to the side. Okay, it's doing its thing. I like olive oil because it's a light oil. I don't prefer anything heavy, but I will tell you this: I kind of dig the when you put the bacon and you want to do something with bacon. The bacon grease is kind of light to me. I know it used to be a no-no. You didn't do that back in the day, but we're doing it now. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and get ready for everything. I selected saute. Now I'm going to go ahead also and add the salt as well as the garlic. And no, not garlic salt now. This needs to be your garlic powder. And that's some homemade that I did. And what you do is you dehydrate those and then you put them in oh, that smells good already. Okay, and then you're going ahead and put those in like a coffee grinder or something like that, and then you make your powder out of it. Okay, so we're doing that. We're waiting on these to kind of salt. So what we're going to do, because the big thing that can happen here is you can burn the stuff, and it's only because you don't deglaze the bottom of this pan. So I'm going to go ahead and pour some of the broth in here just to make sure. There you go. Because I want this to be cooked. There's a particular way that you have to do it. Okay? Alright, so that's kind of, so what I'm doing is any of those really good bits are going to wind up in the recipe. That's why I deglazed it like that. Okay, and you're going to see how really super easy and simple this is. Okay, so now that I've deglazed it, and it's looking a whole lot better, it's not stuck on the bottom, all those little wonderful bits of the onion. And I chop my onions up really fine. You can do yours, any way you want to do it. Let's go ahead and put this over here to the, see if you can see a little bit so I can kind of do the pot like that so you can see what's in it. Okay, all right, now what I'm going to do, I've got all that done, I'm going to add my tomatoes. Now these are the tomatoes I used from my dehydrated tomatoes. It has olive oil in it, it has onion in it, it has basil. I mean, this smells like I'm in an Italian kitchen right now. Go ahead and grab a spoon. So what we're going to add to this, and this is not something you have to add, I'm just telling you it's super, super good. Okay, I'm going to put in probably about, let's try about a half, there we go, like that. We're going to try about a half cup of these dehydrated tomatoes. And it's got basil in it, it's just got all wonderful, wonderful herbs in it. And I'll tell you what, this stuff right here is good just to put on a sandwich. Like if you wanted to make just any kind of sandwich, like your ham or your hamburgers, I mean, chicken, everything. I mean, this thing is just, it wakes up a dish. Okay, now, we're going to go on ahead now and follow my recipe. Got to do it exactly right. Okay, so I put a few spices, but I want to add a little bit more. I am back to where I really dig. This is oh man, it smells so good. So this is an herb I love to use a lot too. Go ahead and stick that in there just a little bit. Now remember, your dried herbs versus using fresh herbs. If you use fresh herbs, you would have to use more. So this is my dried oregano, so it calls for that. Let's go ahead and throw that in there as well. But my ginger is one of my go-to for everything. And ginger is also so very good for you as well. Alright, now let's see. I think I've added everything. Let's see. Oh, let's go ahead and add the rest of the broth. And remember, the broth, we use 1 cup of water and 4 cups of vegetable broth. You can use beef broth, you can use chicken, I mean, you can use whatever you want to. Remember, this is your recipe, okay? Alright, we'll we'll throw this in the sink. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do, I've got the chili powder. Didn't put the chili powder in yet. Let's go ahead and put some of that in there. I like to use my hand. I kind of know what a teaspoon is in my hand, so that's what I do a lot of. There we go. And it's going to smell so good. Now, you can add anything you want to. I have actually some chicken in the freezer that I'm going to add to this recipe, and what we're going to do is make burritos out of it when it gets done. Okay, now we are absolutely at the point. I'll make sure I got all of my herbs and everything in there, and I do. Oh, it smells so good in here. Okay, so now what we're going to do is add the beans and rice. Now, these are my black beans that I've had, and I put these in a jar, and of course I make sure it's sealed, and when I'm finished with it I'll make sure it's sealed. So these are the black beans, and guess what? On this recipe you don't have to let the beans soak. I mean, this is awesome. Now I'm also using brown rice, okay, and so what I'm using there is a 1.5 cups of the black beans and 1.5 cups of the brown rice. So let's just go on ahead and throw this in here. Now I'm not going to stir these. I know it sounds weird, but it's going to work. Now I have rinsed these, okay, so they have been cleaned. And I want every one of those rice pieces to go in there. I wish you could smell this kitchen. It smells so good. Now this is a good vegetarian recipe as well. So, you know, if you're not into meat products, or maybe the doctor has told you for some reason or another you shouldn't cut back on your meats and things, this is a great recipe for that. Put this over here to the side and not stir. So I'm going to do exactly what they tell me to do. Okay, I think that's got everything in there. Alright, now what I'm going to do, let me show you. Go ahead and put my lid back here, because I probably am going to add, after this thing cooks, I'll probably add some more of the tomato stuff. I'm going to turn the saute off. Okay, so I want that off. Now what I'm going to do is go ahead and put the lid. Okay, and I've just locked it in. Okay, so you can see what I've done. There's a little valve. You've got to make sure the seal, there's a seal and then a vent. You make sure you have it selected seal. Now what I'm going to do is go ahead and I want to do pressure cook. Okay, now the pressure cook, again, make sure you follow it exactly the way it should be. Okay, so the pressure cook needs to be set on high pressure for 28 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and click 28. Okay, and I'm hitting start. Okay, now I want you to take a look. Turn this around so you can see. And I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll just move the camera over so you can see a little bit better. Okay, so let me twirl this around so I can see too. Okay, so you can see the Instapot. Okay, this was the saute button right here. We clicked that, and that's what we sauteed the onions with just a little bit of the olive oil, and then we added spices, and then I put my tomato stuff in there. Then I went and made sure I had all of the herbs that it said to put in there. I did that. A little bit of chili powder went in there as well. So then I turned it off. Now you have to hit cancel, okay? So it's not sauteing. So what we did next is put it on pressure cooker, and then I used the timer. I set it on 28 minutes, okay? Then you press start. Now you see what it's doing right now. It's preheating. Then see, it's about to do its thing, and then it's going to go cook, and then it's going to keep warm. Now it's real important now that you don't remove this until it beeps and it tells you can. That's where people get hurt by using pressure cookers and Instant Pots. Okay, so you got to do it exactly like the recipe says. Okay, we're going to be back in just a while. We're going to let this thing cook. It's doing all the work for me. And again, one container and that's it. This is going to be a wonderful, wonderful recipe. You're going to want to follow this one. Okay, thanks for watching. I'll be back shortly. Okay, so we're back, but we're going to have to go into a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to see the finished product and also tips to use for making this recipe and why it works without having to soak your beans. We'll be right back.
Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you.
The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer.
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
The only place I buy my beef is Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama. Their cattle is born and raised on their ranch, grass and grain fed, and you can feel confident when you serve your family and friends because their beef is all natural and no antibiotics or hormones are added. You can buy whole beef or perhaps go in with family or friends and buy half. Their customer service is number one as they take care of the delivery to their local processor and can deliver to your home for a small added fee. They also offer herd replacement heifers. I always call Lone Tree Ranch in Collinsville, Alabama for my beef specialty recipes and cookouts, and you can too. Food shortages are increasing, so buy local by calling 256-523-6462. That's 256-523-6462.
Donna's Designs offers a line of handmade memorial, wedding, and keepsake jewelry that launched back in 1970. I'm a self-trained jewelry designer, and I will work closely with you to create unique designs you can love and treasure for years to come. Whether that be flowers that were used in a funeral arrangement or stones you found on the beach at a memorable trip, call me at 256-659-4319, and let's think of the possibilities. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant.
Okay, we're back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show. We try to make life a lot easier, and so I'm just going to tell you, my life's gotten a lot easier of cooking by using my Instant Pot. So let's go ahead and look at the final video. It's only about 4 or 5 minutes, if it's even that long. So we are going to be right back in just a minute, and we'll finish up with some tips on how this works. Okay, now for the magic. Okay, so we have our black beans and rice, and so the seal has been done, and you can see I went on ahead and unplugged it. Everything is gone. It still feels warm right here, but the steam has been released. You can also make sure, because there's a vent button that you can click just to make sure. Okay, so the steam has been released. Now again, you've heard people say, oh, never use a pressure cooker. I'm scared to death of them. Don't be afraid. Okay, now let's see what this thing looks like. We're taking this off. Oh my goodness, it looks so good. Okay, again, steam is coming out. I'll go ahead and place this. By the way, always make sure you clean. There's a little rubber place right here inside the lid. Make sure you take that out and clean it every single time you cook, okay? And you can buy replacements, and they're not very expensive at all. Okay, now I'm going to give it a little quick stir, and man, does this look good. It's got everything in here that we wanted. So what I'm going to do, just for flavor, just to boost it even more, I'm going to add some more of these dehydrated, some more of these dehydrated tomatoes. I'm going to put that in there. Now you can add any meat that you'd like. You can go hamburger meat, ground beef, or you can do basically anything. What I'm doing, I always buy in bulk, so I made a lot of chicken right here. So this is, I went on ahead and put it in pieces. So what I'm going to do is add all this chicken in here. Again, you can add anything you want. It's good with sausage too. So I'm going to add this. Now I went on ahead and made this great big huge pot of this, and the reason I did that is, again, I'm going to, it just smells good. I'm going to put some of this in the freezer. So what we can do is we can have fajitas, we can have just all kinds of stuff, and have several different meals out of this food that I prepared just once. I'm going to go ahead and take this out so I can let you see a little bit better what it looks like. And let's move this out of the way. We'll just stack it and put it out of the way. How about that? Okay, now you get a better idea of what this looks like. And it's really important that you don't use canned beans. You need to use the dried beans. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get everything a good stir. I'm going to put just a little bit in my bowl, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, let's go ahead and put some in here. Let's just use this one. Okay, take a look. There's your black beans and your rice. Better than anything that you're going to find at Popeyes. Okay, and it kind of tastes like it, but it's really, really good. And again, I put my own seasoning to taste the way we like it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead in just a few minutes. We'll come back from a commercial break, and we're going to talk about why you should not use canned beans and why you don't put the beans in water overnight. We'll talk about why. You can't get any easier than that. So this is a really good recipe. Now you can use it for anything. You can make a stew out of it if you want to. Have black beans and rice stew. And add sausage, you can add ham, you can add anything that you'd like to. Whatever you've got in your freezer or your refrigerator, any kind of leftovers, this is really good. So here's some questions real quick. We'll go through these. And one question is, can I use canned beans? No, do not use canned beans. It won't work with canned beans because they need much less time to cook than the rice does. Now, another thing you want to do after you take the beans out, or after you take the top off, you want to check the beans and make sure they're done. If not, all you got to do, let the pressure release, make sure all that's done, and then test the beans, and then all you've got to do is put them back in, let it cook maybe for 5 more minutes or so. As a matter of fact, I did that. So when I ended that particular segment, I didn't think the beans were done enough, so I added actually more broth of the vegetable broth, and I went on ahead and put it back in, and then I put it in for 10 more minutes, and perfect. I mean, absolutely perfect. And I wanted to add a little more liquid. I thought that was just a little bit too dry as well. Okay, now can I use white rice? Okay, so here's why. White rice cooks much more quickly than brown rice, and it requires a different liquid amount, so it won't work in this recipe. Now, this called for 1 cup of water and 4 cups of broth. I added 2 more cups to make it a little more liquefied. So to me, it was just too dry. And if you want it to be like a soup or stew or something like that, add 3 more cups, I would say. All right, now, can I use another type of bean? You can try this recipe also with pinto beans or red beans because they're very similar in size as the black beans. You know, they're a little bit big. Kidney beans and chickpeas will take longer to cook, so this recipe, the person who put this recipe in there does not recommend those. 4, can I soak the beans? You can. So yes, she also recommends soaking the beans for at least 8 hours or overnight. Now if you do that, you can reduce the cooking time to 22 minutes. So that's how long it takes to cook the brown rice. So that's the answer for that. Okay, the 5th question was leftovers and freezing. Yeah, you know you're going to have a lot left over unless you have like teenagers living with you. Keep leftovers refrigerated in a closed container for 3 to 4 days. Now, this is what I like. The rice and beans can be frozen on their own for up to 3 months. Now, I would definitely use something, if you're going to use maybe plastic bags or use freezer bags, by the way. Use freezer bags, and you want to get out all the air that you possibly can. I'd rather do that than put it in a container. I just don't feel like the container really gets out all of the air. And also, if you have one of the containers that you'll be able to put got to have the right bags for it now. And you can take the air out. So, and by the way, before you put this into the freezer and you put this in a bag or a container, make sure that it's at room temperature, okay? And you don't want to put it hot in there because what's going to happen is you put it in the freezer while it's really hot, it's going to create these ice crystals, and you don't want that. So make sure that it's pretty close to room temperature. And then you want to squeeze out the excess air, and then you can put it in the freezer. Also, beans aren't cooked enough. Okay, this is all you got to do. Just pop the lid back on, seal the vent, and cook for 2 minutes, adding more time as needed. Okay, cook the time is up to you, and then make sure now that you use the quick pressure release when you do this. I hope you try this recipe. I mean, this is really awesome. And you can find this, let me give you this website, CozyPeachKitchen.com. CozyPeachKitchen.com. I like that website. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and any more ideas for shows, if you'll just send an email to Donna@Donna'sEdge.com. I'll be glad to take care of that for you. You have a wonderful rest of the day. Can't wait to see you in the next show.